Lights out, and we're racing in this potential title decider here in Motegi. It's a great start from pole position by Pecco Bagnaia, who flies down towards the first corner, leading the field. Mir has a mistake on the factory Honda on the brakes into turn one. That's allowed Marc Marquez up into P3. Acosta's been rapid away from the second pro on the grid. He's up in a second. Marc, though, is third.
Once again, like yesterday, it was a poor start by Marc Marquez, but Mir's mistake led him off the hook to a certain extent. Quartararo passed the 36.2, so the factory Yamaha start is up into fourth.
Mir has had a couple of already heart-stopping moments on the brakes going into turn one and there into turn three. Here's Acosta trying to get through on the inside of Bagnaia on the brakes into turn five. No way through. He really did show a front wheel though there to the Italian.
Nothing wrong with Pecco Bagnaia's confidence on the front end of the braking there, was that he had to brake super late to keep Acosta at bay. Acosta potentially recognising that his best opportunity to beat the Ducatis is to get ahead of them early. Mir now attacking on Quartararo, who spent most of yesterday defending from a Honda. This time the Honda's through at the start of lap 2. Mir goes through into fourth place.
On course potentially for successive P4s. He wants more. Can he get more? That would be the big question. Once again, it looks so nervous, so unsettled, the front of that Honda. Quartararo gets a rather unfriendly tap from Morbidelli. He left the door open, I think, the Quartararo going into turn five. Morbidelli sees the tarmac, perfectly entitled to do so. And it's been a real, that mistake at turn five from Quartararo has seen him drop from fourth to eighth. Title chance. Marc motoring towards 537 points. He's already scored a record-breaking points tally in 2025. We've still got 5 rounds remaining after this Japanese Grand Prix. At the moment then, Alex just about holding at bay Ralph Fernandez, the lone representation from Trackhouse Puglia, joining us for the first time. Unfortunately, Ayagura sadly having to withdraw pre-race here today in his home Grand Prix. There's Bezzecchi
coming through,
launches it. He really does launch it, but you just know that Morbidelli was going to try and tough it out. Bezzecchi then finally has got through. That was a real bold move by Bez going through turn 7. You don't see too many passes made there. That was top draw stuff from the Italian.
We know the Aprilia corners well. There was some great evidence of that. And he's not a million miles away from the podium battle. Marc Marquez, if anything, looks like he's dropping back towards Mir at the moment on this current lap 5 of 24. Look at the gap up. It's over half a second up to Pedro Acosta, and Mir with a little bit of encouragement up ahead. The 2020 champion chasing who looks like, as it stands, becoming the 2025 champion.
Yeah, nobody's going to be able to accuse Joan Mir of a lack of effort or not running right on the ragged edge on that factory Honda in this Grand Prix. He's being told here early to go to mapping 2. So maybe already altering the electronic settings, maybe a bit of traction control just to manage the wheel spin.
Well, Alberto Puig was asked by Jack on the grid, wasn't he, whether the switch to the medium rear would be a good thing or a bad thing for the factory Hondas. It wasn't exactly a confidence-inducing answer, was it, from Alberto on the grid? Perhaps we would have been slightly happier have the soft rear being the option. It simply wasn't on this afternoon. Well, it's been quite a warm weekend here in Japan. We're not even at half-race distance yet, so Mir has to be mindful that he doesn't take too much getting suckered into a battle with Marc Marquez if it's not ultimately the battle he's fighting today.
I wonder what the Spanish word is for loose, because that's exactly what that factory Honda is right now underneath Mir. Further back then, Bezzecchi in 5th place. Morbidelli inside the top 6. Alex is 7th. Marc Marquez once again just in hot. He's had issues, hasn't he, sort of in those hard braking zones when you're sort of dropping all the way down to sort of those first, second gear corners, which there's an abundance of here in Motegi. Alex Marquez 7th, Ralph Fernandez 8th, Quartararo and Zarco inside the top 10. Binder has just taken 11th from Fabio the Gian Antonio, who's having a pretty average weekend on the VR46 Ducati. Points for Aldeguer, Bastianini and Jack Miller as it stands right now. Acosta's doing a real strong job there to hold on to this second place. He has not given Marc a sniff at taking that second away from him.
Yeah, only one previous second place this season for Pedro Acosta, which was second to Marc Marquez in Hungary. Cast your votes right now for the ride of the race. Scan the QR code and make your vote. This is as close as Marc has been, though, for quite some time. But when we get into the braking zone, Pedro Acosta able to brake that a little bit later.
It's been a classic display, hasn't it, from Pecco Bagnaia, right out of his playbook. Get the pole position, get the whole shot and then clear off at the front. Finally then, finally on lap 11 of 24, Marc has made the move. Acosta just trying to run that tighter inside line as they sweep through the double left-hander of turn 3 and 4. It's taken the best part of 11 laps and 3 corners for Marc to finally find himself up into P2.
It's a bit interesting to see what Joan Mir now can do in this particular battle, because he said yesterday that the time he lost battling Marc Marquez cost him the opportunity to potentially chase down Acosta and take a podium in the sprint. He hasn't had that problem this time. He's been behind Marc since the first lap was completed. So now that Acosta has been overtaken by Marc Marquez, is he soon going to come under pressure, the 37 from the 36? Joan Mir will be absolutely desperate for a podium finish, and a podium finish earned entirely on merit if he is able to take it. Of course, we did see Joan Zarco take a victory for Honda earlier in the season in a rain-affected French Grand Prix, and then of course a podium finish in Silverstone on what was a slightly strange and curious afternoon. Not taking anything away from those results, but there's no question there's been no assistance for Honda here this afternoon. This is on pure pace from Mir.
He's going for it into 7 and he goes. Yeah, Acosta looks like he's really struggling at the moment with grip on those Michelin tyres, doesn't he? Joan Mir then does fight his way through up into 3rd place. The home crowd are loving this as we have a Honda on the podium potentially here in the Honda-owned Motegi circuit. That was a lovely move. Mir set that up brilliantly. Attacked hard on Acosta on the brakes into 5 and then had much better corner speed. Yeah, Acosta's really struggling. Acosta's got massive problems to deal with here. Oh, what's going on with Bagnaia? Bagnaia's got smoke. What's going on here? There's smoke coming off the rear of Bagnaia's factory Ducati. There's something just rubbing on that rear tyre, but there was clear signs of smoke, wasn't there? On the right-hand side of Bagnaia's Ducati, we're going to be keeping a very, very close eye on this one. As he was going through the double right-handers of 3 and 4, yet another puff of smoke there. It's just something, well, he'd be hoping there's something just catching. A shake of the head from Davide Tardozzi, because this would be a heartache. This would be so cool if there's a tech issue which could threaten Bagnaia's Japanese Grand Prix dominance.
Something is coming out of the exhaust. It's coming from elsewhere on that Ducati, but he's still extending his lead. He's still going very quickly at the moment, is Pecco Bagnaia, so it's not something that he should be worrying about too. It's from the right-hand side. Is it coming out of the exhaust? It's flicking away. So at the moment, it's not slowing Pecco Bagnaia down, as his lead is now back up over 4 seconds, but perhaps something for the Ducati squad to keep an eye on.
Well, he's smoking the field at the moment, no question. It's Bagnaia. There have been a few nervy faces, a few gut-wrenching moments inside that factory Ducati garage as they saw the same images what we did, as now Bezzecchi goes on the inside of Acosta. Acosta can do well, all he wants to try and lean on Bezzecchi to force a mistake from the Italian, but that's not going to happen. Bez just too good on the front end of that Aprilia down the hill into turn 11.
I guess the one thing Ducati have to hope doesn't happen here is that the smoke coming out of Pecco Bagnaia's Ducati necessitates a black and orange flag from the race direction in the FIA MotoGP stewards, because of course if you get that, you've got to park it and pull into the pits. Morbidelli parks it at the inside now of Pedro Acosta, who of course was in 2nd place for the first half of this Grand Prix. 2nd has now become 6th.
Pedro in a whole world of pain right now, isn't he? He's just a bit of a passenger at the moment on that factory KTM. Tries to respond to the move made by Morbidelli. You're going to have to be going somewhere to outbrake Frankie on that run down to turn 5. Let's check the gap now between Acosta and Alex. That's only a 2nd, so there might be a top 6 in the offing here for Alex as well.
Just another opportunity to sing Joan Mir's praises. He just did a 1:45.1. He's the fastest rider now on the racetrack. Marc Marquez has just been given a track limits warning, something else to occupy his mind. What also might be occupying his mind is the fact that Mir just took 3/10 out of him. Acosta did a 1:46.9. He is now the slowest rider on the circuit, so big are his problems. Okay, he's been overtaken by Morbidelli on the last lap, but Acosta now reversing back towards Alex Marquez, and up the road, just up the picture there, is Raul Fernandez, who might catch him too.
Yeah, Acosta's tactic obviously was right. Let's just go hell for leather. Let's just go gung-ho, full gas at the start of this Grand Prix. Try and keep ourselves in the early podium battle, which he did, to be fair. And then try and manage the grip at the end of the race, which at the moment is not going to be mission accomplished as far as the Spaniard is concerned. Yeah, there's going to be so many great stories at the end of this Grand Prix. The resurgence The back to business Bagnaia, well, that's clearly in full working order, isn't it? As he's going to complete the treble here, surely. Marc will be crowned MotoGP World Champion, barring any late dramas. And Joan Mir, another great story to be told in this Japanese Grand Prix of 2025, as he looks well set for that podium. A very, very comfortable P3 at the moment.
If Marc did feel under any threat from Joan Mir for second place, he responded to that. He's now opened that advantage up by a quarter of a second, and through the first 3 sectors of this 18th lap, he's actually also taken a bit of time out of Pecco Bagnaia, who's relentless race pace in this Grand Prix. It's been high 44s and now very consistently in the low to mid 145s. Marc Marquez 2/10 quicker, but it's way too late where that's concerned, as Alex Marquez now begins to do what basically every rider's doing, as Acosta sails way off the racetrack, just could not slow that KTM down. He's lost much more now than 6th place.
Just goes from bad to worse, doesn't it, right now, as far as Acosta is concerned. He's got some impressive off-roading skills, though, to be fair to him there, managing a 300 horsepower MotoGP bike through what is some very deep gravel on the outside of that first corner. But Acosta then has now dropped him back behind
14?
Maverick Vinales, was it?
Yeah, even further than that potentially. You're right at the back of the field now. We were riding on board with Alex Marquez, and I thought, blimey, Pedro's braking late. Turned out he's braking way too late.
Well, we're all flying to Indonesia tomorrow. I think Acosta was trying to beat us all to check him, wasn't he, there? Way off the track going into that first corner. He has indeed returned behind Maverick Vinales, so he has dropped down to dead last. That smoke seems to have cleared. No dramas at the moment for Bagnaia. Of course, his one and only previous Grand Prix success this year, well, that was a gift-wrapped present from Marc over at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Marc was charging away at the front of that Grand Prix with a 2-second advantage when he crashed out of contention and allowed Bagnaia to take victory in round 3. Who would have thought there?
Oh, that was
the
a big
smoke is back.
That time.
That smoke is back. Who would have thought after that third round when Bagnaia was victorious that we'd have to wait until late September before his next win? Well, that's clear. That's the biggest
plume we've seen so far.
We have seen. That is at its worst, no question about it.
He's still doing 45.5s, in fairness to Pecco Bagnaia. 5 more laps for that Ducati to hang on. And Ducati must be thinking, as much as there's going to be an almighty party, whatever happens today, for Marc Marquez in the World Championship, surely everyone at Ducati with a heart will be thinking, surely Pecco is not going to be denied in this kind of fashion.
Marc Marquez on course for world title glory. Gigi Dall'Igna here, just talking to Gigi.
Basically saying, don't pull him in.
Yeah, MotoGP technical director, Danny Aldridge. Taka Nakagami's gone down late on here.
1 more lap away from the completion of one of sport's greatest comeback stories.
Last lap underway then here in the Japanese Grand Prix. Comeback almost fully loaded for Marc Marquez. He has a good long look over his left shoulder. He will not barely see Joan Mir. What must be going through the mind of Marc Marquez right now? What a story his is. A story straight out of Hollywood, isn't it? A triumph of the human spirit in many respects over adversity. His own refusal when the odds stacked against him seemed insurmountable to throw the towel in. He might have lost 4 years of his career after Jerez 2020, but he lost none of the hunger, lost none of the desire, lost none of the speed, and lost none of the belief, did he, Marc Marquez? Through turn 7 he goes then now on this last lap, halfway around one of the biggest laps of his career. He just simply would not give up, would he? He simply would not be beaten. Jerez changed him, but it did not defeat him. There's been the surgeries and setbacks, tears and fears, a journey of recovery and discovery, a career reborn at Ducati as he reinvented himself as a person and a rider. Resilience matched by pure brilliance. There have been countless dark days and dozens of doubts, but there can be no doubt that we have witnessed a genius return to the peak of his powers in 2025. Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Monday sporting titans who've been hailed for producing amazing comebacks. Now Marc Marquez surely has to be mentioned in the same breath. From all the pain to the pantheon of global sporting icons, Pecco Bagnaia will win the Japanese Grand Prix, but from career-saving surgery in Minnesota back to the top step of the podium Motorland, the crowning glory here in Motegi is the comeback to top all comebacks. Marc Marquez is the 2025 MotoGP World Champion. He hit rock bottom, but he's risen to the top once again and clinches his 7th MotoGP World Championship. Overcome by emotion, What a story has been as far as Marc Marquez is concerned. He wraps up his first World Championship in 6 long years. The comeback king has taken the throne once again as the MotoGP World Champion. And there you go. That is confirmation of the coronation. The comeback king is back on the throne as Marc Marquez once again adds his name to the Tower of Champions. He is the world champion. Campione del Mundo once again, the 32-year-old Spaniard.
Pecco Bagnaia completes the perfect weekend in Japan with victory as Joan Mir returns to the podium for the first time in 4 years. But it is Marc Marquez who steals the headlines, his second place, delivering him a 7th MotoGP world title.